Time is without a doubt the most valuable resource we have. With our ephemeral existence on this chaotic plane, no amount of success or wealth will prevent our inevitable deaths. We may choose to sacrifice the pleasures of today to reap the fruits tomorrow, or we may indulge in the present and let the future you worry about tomorrow. What we choose to do with our lives inherently becomes more meaningful, specifically because our time is limited. This often pushes us to pursue our passions, even if it could endanger our lives. We can choose to live as the country mouse, where food is plentiful but plain, and life is peaceful but boring. Or we can choose to live as the city mouse, where the food is luxurious but hard to get, and life is stimulating but full of danger. How we choose to live our lives and spend our time hangs in the balance of great consideration to the risks and benefits. Which is why I've decided to spend my time today talking about a tan high schooler bullying an artist. This is a video where I gush about Please Don't Bully Me, Nagatoro. Where do I start? Please Don't Bully Me, Nagatoro is about this extremely shy artist that doesn't have any friends. All this man wants to do is draw things. Things like girls, and fruit, and cat girls. Pure things, really. He then has a run-in with some girls and accidentally drops some of his drawings, and they see it. They laugh at his cringe art and leave, but one of them sticks around and really lets Art Boy have it. This man gets roasted alive till he starts crying, and she leaves laughing. This girl is Nagatoro. Any normal person would hear this and be like, why would you ever read this? And to that I would say, it gets better. Look, hear me out. Nagatoro continues bullying Art Boy, but we quickly learn that it's her weird way of showing affection. And only he gets special treatment, and Art Boy catches on that there's no malice behind it. She keeps teasing him, and he plays along. This is pretty much the base premise of the manga. It's pretty degenerate, even if you know there's actual development between the two. There's nothing particularly special about the plot. It's about as generic as it gets. Boy meets girl and girl meets boy, and they grow to like each other. There are a lot of series like that. I'd argue there are three major things this author does that helps it stand out a little bit more in the sea of romance comedy type series. Generally speaking, one of the greatest strengths that cartoons and anime utilize is their ability to exaggerate. Part of why Greek theater had bulky masks with huge faces was to immediately communicate the expression a character was making, so that even those from a distance could read their faces. If an idea needs to get across to an audience quickly, greatly exaggerating is a surefire way that it'll be properly received. The author of Nagatoro is a master at drawing expressions. There's a lot of memes about Nagatoro and the faces in it, and I think it's because people are catching on to how wild some of these faces can get. The author plays with a huge range of faces: sadistic, shocked, embarrassed, angry, bored, and genuinely happy. Even the same expressions are drawn differently in their own unique ways. The author is versatile, creative, and is able to continually be entertaining purely from facial expressions, which is no small feat. There's also something strangely satisfying about seeing all the reactions and faces that Nagatoro makes. Obviously they're well drawn, but a part of me wonders if it's my monkey brain in action that just wants to see all these reactions. Like, there's a reason why reaction channels in the YouTube community are so prolific. Entire careers have been built on this premise, and I don't know, it seems to be human nature to want to actively seek out a reaction or expression a person makes to one thing or another. Perhaps it's a stretch to make this connection, but I know I personally liked seeing all the silly expressions that Nagatoro makes when reacting to all the situations the author puts her in. The second standout thing this manga has that I really enjoyed is its framing. Throughout the manga, there's these little moments where Art Boy and Nagatoro mirror each other. He'd move an arm and she'd jokingly copy him. It's a little gag that happens every now and then, but then you start to notice that they mirror each other more frequently and unconsciously. And if you've done your research on Google.com, it talks about nonverbal behaviors that indicate whether someone's into you. While it's not entirely indicative of anything in the real world, in fiction, when it's done intentionally, it shows the author is trying to communicate this idea. It's a level of social polish that I wasn't expecting to find in Nagatoro of all places. Another example of really great framing is seen when Nagatoro finds some of Art Boy's drawings. She enters the room and finds Art Boy sketching something, and he quickly scrambles out of the room flustered. Confused, Nagatoro looks at the sketches he left behind and finds that it's drawings of herself. Nagatoro, of course, is completely taken aback, but she slowly realizes that This is Art Boy's way of expressing his own affections. And then you get this full page of her running. There's no words or sounds or anything, but you feel that there's energy, excitement, and embarrassment all in one page, and you can practically feel her heart racing. It's a fantastic moment that encompasses all the silly, cliché feelings that come along with being in love. This moment gets mirrored much later in the series, where Art Boy takes the initiative to run after Nagatoro. The last major point I'll make with why I think the series stands out a little bit more has to do with the author's art style slowly growing throughout the series. I'm not an art major, so I'm gonna have trouble articulating this point clearly, but it feels as though the art style from the beginning of the manga to the latest chapter has very slightly shifted. Just from scanning through the pages, I get the sentiment that the later chapters have gotten softer and warmer. There's an extra detail to the expressions and even the clothes, and I might be imagining this feeling, but it feels like the artist is having a lot of fun with some of the more wild expressions. I know that I said the plot was very unimpressive, which is still true, but I was surprised by how there was actual character development in the story, specifically with Art Boy. For a decent amount of the manga, he's been a pushover that took whatever anyone threw at him. He has almost no confidence and practically sees himself as unworthy of noticing. However, slowly but surely, we get to see some chapters where he stands up for himself and Nagatoro. He has these little moments where, even with the little confidence that he has, he speaks up, and Nagatoro notices how hard he's trying. In some of the latest chapters, Art Boy, having noticed that his relationship with Nagatoro's been stagnant, actively puts himself out there in situations he'd normally be uncomfortable with, just so he could grow closer with her, and it's very endearing to watch. The final bit that I'll say is that Nagatoro's bullying slows down much more in the latest chapters, and the fan service is nowhere to be seen, mostly. Instead, we get cute and cozy art with Nagatoro in the most adorable outfits. I wasn't expecting a manga like this to go in a cuter, more wholesome direction, especially considering its original premise, but I'm all for it. So yeah, those were the 3 major points that I think stood out the most to me about the series. The expressions are very well done, the details to some of the framing is polished, and the author's art has grown as the series has progressed. I genuinely enjoyed Don't Bully Me Nagatoro, but it's far from perfect. One of its biggest weaknesses can be seen in the backgrounds, which are very uninspiring if not present at all. And on top of that, I should probably mention the elephant in the room, which is that this manga radiates horny energy. Like, Jesus Christ. But hey, if you're into it, you do you, chief. If you can look past those things, I think Don't Bully Me Nagatoro is a very fun and cute manga. I think you should give Don't Bully Me Nagatoro a read. That's it for this video. I know I say this in almost all my recent videos, but thank you so much for watching. I love writing these scripts, and just getting these thoughts in my head to any number of people is almost therapeutic. I've always felt that I have a lot of things to say, but I think this is one way, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. Just to talk briefly about what's been happening in my personal life, I just graduated from college with a bachelor's degree, and now I'm off into the real world with a music composition degree under my belt. There's so much mystery for the future, and I really hope things work out. In the meantime, I'll keep doing these types of videos for fun. I'm really happy to have any semblance of an audience at all. I like writing scripts and sometimes shitposting, but I hope you guys don't mind the shitposting. That was a lot of fun to make. Yeah, that's all I've got to say. It's been a long year, but you're just hoping for a better one. Happy holidays. Take care, guys. Bye.